What's cracking, peeps? It's Jax, and we're back with berries. We're at the end of chapter 4. We just done chapter 4, and I think the final chapter, chapter 5. We nearly lost our life, and we shot off what's his name's hand, Dennis, I think. Here we go. I hope my throat's alright for this. We'll find out. I'm cold, man. Got this jumper and hat. I'm cold. We are now inside a large reinforced chamber of sorts, almost like the inside of a submarine. Near us is the door, shut tight. Far away from us along the back wall are all sorts of controls and monitors. It seems clear that this metal door is impenetrable, at least to them. I'm fairly sure that they aren't getting in. Dennis looks like a walking corpse, and I do everything in my power to not let this show in my expression. His face in a grimace. He shouts at me, "To hell with you! What were you thinking?" Blood pools on the floor below wherever he holds his arm. I say nothing. It's all too much. My brain feels like jelly. "We need to get him some help, or he's going to bleed to death," Amy says. We are interrupted by a man's voice booming behind us. "Just what in the hell do you think you're doing?" He's an older man who seems to exude power and authority, but he also looks tired and scared. I assume this is Barksdale. He walks over to us from the back recess of the chamber. "We didn't have a choice. We had to." "Did you override the locks on the hangar doors?" Barksdale demands. "Yes, I did, but we had to." "Do you have any idea what you could have done?" Amy doesn't answer right away. She is furious, but she is also scared and visibly exhausted. No, intervene. Do it, intervene. I addressed my question to Amy, preferring to get my info from her rather than whoever this is. The man doesn't break eye contact with Amy. "Colonel Barksdale, he runs the place." "Look, Barksdale, you can berate me and lecture me all you want once this mess is over. But right now, I have a wounded civilian here, and as you can see, several entities trying to get into this room. So if you could actually do something, instead of sitting on your throne and yelling at me, that would be great." I'm impressed by her guts and wonder if there is some sort of beef between the two of them. Surely working in a place like this could cause some stress and tension between people. As we wait, I notice a small peephole in the door. I go to it and look out to the things. They're still looking for a way in, but finding no success. I wonder if they can sense or somehow see me through the door. "Flip them the bird." Does that mean like swear at them? Flip them the bird. I kind of want to know what it is. I can't help myself. I hold up my middle finger to one and smile defiantly. I get a blast of high-pitched sound in response. "You'll be reprimanded for speaking to me in such a way." "Reprimand me all you want. I'd like to survive this first." "Cover your ears," Barksdale shouts, walking away towards the far end of the room. Stay put until you hear back from me." I don't know why I can't talk. I apologise. "Thank you," Amy says with fire in her voice. She turns to me and says, "Better do what the man says." I'll cover my ears. I clap my hands over my ears just in time to protect my hearing from a deafening blast. I'm still bleeding, and a sudden movement to cover my ears makes me feel dizzy. Dennis clumsily covers one ear with his hand and one ear with his bandaged arm. When I see the shape he is in, I get myself in check. Compared to Dennis, I'm in tip-top shape. I did that. I took the shot that took his hand off. I need to make all of that mean something. More bursts of a loud explosive noise start ringing out. I look through the peephole again. I see the core of one of the beasts explode. It vanishes in a puff of smoke and clear liquid. Looking to my left, I see Barksdale in a shouting stance at the far side of the room. He's firing through a small slit in the wall. He's using some high-powered weapon, the likes of which I've never seen. I see a slight movement as the gun kicks, accompanied by a flicker of white light. Immediately, another monster is downed, its tentacles flailing around aimlessly as most of its core is torn through. I instantly feel gratitude and an immense satisfaction in knowing that they are being picked off in such a way. You're going to keep watching. I would. I slide my eye up to the peephole again to watch what effect the shots are having outside, because I know that the white liquid and gas is the creature's blood. Seeing it draws up a frenzied bloodlust in me. Another is blasted in the centre, the translucent shell collapsing inward as its light dies out. Yet another is shot in a mass of floating tentacles, causing its body to disappear as it dips in and out of existence. After several moments, my view is blocked by a splatter of white liquid that covers my peephole. Lol. When the firing is over, I barely even notice it. Soon after, Barksdale walks back over to our side of the room. "They're all gone, and I've resealed the hangar doors." "How'd you kill them like that?" "Classified weapons that, quite frankly, you have no business being near." Amy gets to her feet and returns to the panel on the wall. "Thanks. How badly are the civilians hurt?" "One is in very bad shape. He lost a hand and a lot of blood. The other is not too bad. I see a laceration on his back and that's about it." "Okay, I'll have Strickland get a medkit." "Strickland survived?" "Yes, and until you and your friend showed up, I thought we were the only ones. Hang tight, she's on her way." "Who's Strickland?" With that said, he retreats away to the back of the room, as if he can't stand to be around us. Amy approaches me and looks over. "You're in good hands. Strickland will be able to fix you up." "Is she a doctor or something?" "Sort of. She's also a physicist, but oddly enough she spent time as a trauma nurse in the army." "Is Strickland a friend of yours?" Amy chuckles. "Yeah, we've known each other for a while. The only women in a sea of overachieving men." "Barksdale sounds like a prick." You must be glad Strickland survived then." "I am. We usually have lunch together, and she's helped me out a few tight spots in my career." Within a few seconds, the door behind us opens and a woman appears from back further in the chamber. She enters the room with what looks like a small suitcase. She is dressed in a very basic and drab military getup, complete with a holstered sidearm. "My name is Connie Strickland," she says. "I could patch you guys up pretty well, but it's gonna hurt." She looks closely at Dennis, looking over at him with precise care and attention. "You are not in the best shape." "Seriously, I can fix you up, but only temporarily. You need intensive care for that arm. First things first, though." Strickland pours a liquid over his maimed arm and starts stitching. She then wraps his arm with 3 entire spools of gauze. Blood shows right through right away. "That's the best I can do for now," she tells him, giving him a sympathetic frown. "I couldn't care less. I'm a cripple. Do whatever you want, as though it matters." Strickland then looks at me. Sit down, let's see if we can get your shirt off." I sit down slowly and start unbuttoning my shirt. She has to help me slip it off my shoulders, but we manage. "How bad is it?" "Bad. It's almost like a burn, but I've seen much worse. Your friend here, for example." I might as well talk to Strickland, if only to distract from the pain. "So what's your story?" Strickland rolls her eyes as she gathers up a needle and some thread. "I was always into fringe science. I started in labs where these eccentric Russian scientists were being funded by the US to work on combining DNA types. I sort of became obsessed with perfecting human physiology while I was a trauma nurse in the army." "So you were a mad scientist then?" "I get that a lot, but no, not compared to the stuff that... Not compared to the stuff... I get that a lot, but no, not compared to the stuff we do here. So, yeah, I need to know as much information as possible if we're going to survive." "It's complicated. Comar masses, quantum gravity, crunching things down into their Schwarzschild radiuses. Fun stuff." "Yeah, mad scientist," I say, trying to keep myself calm with dry humour. "There are lots of small labs working on this same stuff. They don't just have our funding. When you guys ran in here, I was horrified. Those barrels outside, I'm not sure if you saw them. Well, if you'd shot them, it could have been bad." "Why?" "The grey ones are filled with an experimental fuel that is highly flammable. The yellow ones contain liquid nitrogen." "What? Just laying around?" "Well, this area is the safest in the building, the most secure. Well, it used to be anyway. And take this," she says, handing me 4 pills. "Painkillers. They won't work immediately, but they'll dull the worst of what you're feeling." "Are these the best idea? Won't they make me dizzy or out of sorts or something?" All I get in response is an annoyed and determined look. Okay, this is an important choice. So we take the painkillers, we'll feel better. It might help us in terms of like shooting and stuff. But in that same sort of thing, if we don't take them, will we feel worse, but we won't feel like dizzy or like confused and stuff? I'm not going to take them. You refuse the painkillers. Really? I don't want to get lightheaded in case we have to move fast. I can handle it. You're cool. She slathers the wound with some sort of liquid that stings like crazy, and I gasp. Just grin and bear it. Ready to stab me yet? I'm fine. I grit my teeth in pain and try to catch my breath. Dennis comes out of his haziness and tries to speak to Strickland, but his words are slurred. White light from the ground. You think that caused a power outage? Think that brought the monsters out? Could be, but your crew is far enough away from the facility, or we at least thought you were. Dennis chuckles in a way that makes him sound menacing. Nope, wrong. You thought wrong. So you and Barksdale are the only survivors? It seems that way. Those that didn't disappear into thin air were killed by those things. How many were killed? I'm guessing 30 or so. I'm not sure how many were scheduled to come in today. I'm glad to see. Where were you when it happened? I was in the micro lab on level 2. Park and O'Brien were in there with me and they just disappeared. It looked like they were being stretched, distorted, and then there was a ball of white light and they were gone. The ball of light just annihilated everything it touched. Would it leave a perfectly round hole? A light bulb turning on in my head. We saw some of those at the login site. Yeah, and I saw a ball of white light too. Oh. Yeah, and I saw a ball of white light too. That was probably the same phenomenon. Amy looks at the ground like a child that is afraid to ask an adult for something. Finally she asks, where did they go? We don't know. It could be an infinite number of different dimensions, or even some dimensions that merge and mix together. It could be a place that exists between dimensions. Oh. It could be a place between dimensions. It could also be a place that exists between dimensions. Barksdale calls it the void. Oh. It could also be a place that I lost all my voices. It could also be a place that exists between dimensions. Barksdale calls it the void. How is that possible? We don't know that just yet. Our understanding of space-time is evolving, especially when you start warping it like we have been doing. That point seems to end the conversation as both women fall quiet. I wince through the rest of Strickland's stitching, feeling the tug of my skin, but thankfully, no more flowing blood. Finally, Strickland says, "You're good to go." She looks over Dennis one more time. He doesn't so much as stir when she rechecks her work. She's already having to remove the gauze on his wrist, as it's soaked through with blood. The wound looks like it's starting to clot, so that's good at least. I stare at the floor as Strickland does what she can. Will he make it? I'm not a doctor, not really, but based on the bit I do know, I'd say it's about 50-50 right now. Crap, man, we might have killed Dennis. So have you and Barksdale been able to contain all those creatures? Strickland appears shocked, clearly not the reaction Amy was expecting. Contain? Are you nuts? Do you not know what's happening? Amy's eyes widen in fearful confusion. What do you mean, what's happening? Other than the initial experiment failure? The anomalies are becoming more numerous and further from the source, Strickland says. The casual humour in her voice is now gone. Further from the source? From the location of the original experiment. The experiment caused the first doorway to open, but it set off a chain reaction. They are gaining momentum along geodesics emanating from the facility. It's these pockets of exotic matter and negative energy that they are letting loose those things in. What the hell does that mean? It means that those doorways and monsters are starting to appear all over the facility, maybe even the surface. Not yet, luckily, but the doorways will start appearing on the surface, and it won't stop there. The anomaly's reach could far extend infinitely, as far as we know. Those entities will appear on the surface in other states, other countries. Holy shit, you mean the world is going to be overrun? The horror of the past few hours has made me really ready to believe in anything, but this is almost too much. Unfortunately, yes. My God, isn't there anything we can do? There is a last resort. Her eyes darting over to Barksdale at the back of the room. There's an emergency fail switch. What? I never heard of that. Where? You weren't cleared for it. And that switch, is it a way to stop this? Yes. Seeming uneasy with the conversation. Yeah, what does the switch do? Because it's clearly going to trap us all in there forever or something, isn't it? The switch is our eraser. It destroys the entire facility and terminates any systems or experiments that are being conducted. It's also an emergency shutdown for interdimensional travel. It puts an event horizon around the facility. That's a great film if you've never seen it, by the way. Event Horizon. What the hell is that? It's the perimeter of a black hole, the boundary inside which nothing can escape, not even light. But there's two problems with hitting the switch. So the first problem is we'd all be killed, sucked into a black hole before we'd have time to evacuate. The second reason, Strickland whispers, suddenly quiet, is that Barksdale won't allow it. What? Why not? He wants to allow those things to flood the surface? Thousands, millions would die. Strickland puts her hands up, silencing Amy. They both peer over to the far side of the room, where Barksdale has his back to her. I know. He says he doesn't care. He says he'll be happy to be rid of the oversight, so he can continue his work. The oversight? Regaining her control over her voice, which Strickland gives her another look of warning. You mean our government? He's aware this could disrupt, even topple our government, and he doesn't care? Strickland sighs. Barksdale is, well, he's off the range right now. He's gone rogue, and he's armed. His comment makes me look towards the handgun I brought in with me. I'd nearly forgotten it in the last few moments. While Barksdale has his back turned, I take it in my hands and slide it behind me. Just in time too, as Barksdale walks over from the back of the room to our side of the chamber. He gives Strickland a suspicious look before speaking to her. Are the two civilians going to survive? Dennis chuckles at this, and I'm relieved to see that his eyes are open. He gives a lazy thumbs up. One is stitched up and good to go, but the other one is in bad shape. He needs immediate medical attention. Understood. Amy, it's quite nice to see that you have survived. Were there any others? The aloof way this arsehole is talking to us is getting under my skin. A guy named Marcus that works on the first level from IT. That's all I know for sure. Marcus Papscott. Where is he? Okay. I'm gonna say he's killed by those things. I lied. I try not to let my eyes shift and give away my lie. Oh, I see. Barksdale seems to think about something and then looks directly at me. Oh, you're with the logging crew, aren't you? Remind me, how did you get in here again? Oh, see? He's probably seen it in security cameras. I didn't even think. I should have just said I killed him. I should have just said it. Be honest. That's a mistake. I think that's a mistake. How do you get in here? Through a building on the surface. Ah, it makes sense. The cloaks for the entrance shed are tied to a primary source, and we lost primary power just before the experiment failed. Cloak? Yes, the shed you entered is usually not visible to the naked eye. Depending on the power sources that were damaged, it could have also shut down the locking systems before backups kick in. Everything is starting to make sense now. From the very start, it had seemed peculiar that we'd be so easily been able to walk into a place like this. They were probably taken into the black hole, the event horizon. I'm smart enough to work out that they're probably gone. So what caused the experiment to fail? Your crew hit one of our main power lines. We aren't sure exactly how, but we know that's what did it. You're trying to blame me? You're trying to blame all this on me? The timing was unfortunate. So what now? Now it's time to continue our work, Barksdale says calmly, turning away to the instruments on the near wall. Keep quiet. Keep quiet. This guy sounds like a complete lunatic, but he's a lunatic that's accustomed to power and armed with some type of advanced weaponry. So I keep my intentions unspoken, assuming Barksdale is used to going unchallenged by people he considers beneath him. Be smart. He certainly seems like that type. I want to continue my work. Other researchers will eventually discover what we have, sure, but I want it to be me. This is my laboratory. These are my experiments. The work I've led here will earn me my place in history. And quite frankly, I don't need to explain it to you. Up on the surface, they'll struggle to defend themselves, since they won't know what they're dealing with. I have the necessary weapons. After a few months, who knows, maybe I'll decide the world is ready for me to help them, and we'll go from there. He turns his back to us as He says this, walking to the far side of the chamber, like with some kind of distraction. Amy takes this opportunity to whisper to us. We need to hit that switch. It's the only option. What he's saying is murder, treason, genocide. She looks over to Strickland for support, trailing off. But Strickland looks at the ground, clearly torn. She won't look anyone in the eye and makes an effort not to look at Barksdale. He seems distracted with whatever instruments he's studying on the far side of the room. At this moment I realise my body feels like a bomb went off inside it. Maybe those painkillers wouldn't have been so bad. Strickland finally whispers a response. Even if we decide that we want to hit that switch, Barksdale won't allow us. You can figure something out. Maybe you guys could make a break for it. Where is the switch located? There's an elevator out in the hangar. Take it to the basement. The switch is at the end of the long tunnel. But Strickland never finishes. Two things happen at once as she speaks, her mouth stopping in mid-sentence. First, a loud booming noise rings out, and then the top of her head seems to explode. Amy screams out in surprise, and Dennis and I jump back in shock. As Strickland's body collapses behind me. Behind her fallen body, Barksdale is holding his experimental rifle, and he's now pointing it at us. He's just taken her head off. The guy's insane. It's another Marcus. He's going to know that we lied about killing Marcus as well, I guarantee it. Seriously? This guy's insane. We just got rid of one insane guy, and now there's another one. I wonder if Barksdale is even crazier than Marcus. He's just shot a woman that worked for him to keep her quiet. Surely he won't have an issue with killing me. Now, no more whispering, no secrets. You thief will stay in here. And get away from that door. If anyone whispers one more thing, I'll blow your heads off. My mind is racing to figure out a way to get through the secured door and into the hangar. Beyond that, of course, there was the fail-safe switch. Make a distraction or insult Barksdale. Well, isn't that the same thing? It's kind of the same thing. So I'm going to insult him. With no other ideas, I resort to something I know how to do well. Be noisy. You moron! For someone in such a position of power, you think I'm an idiot? You think like an idiot? Kill me, go ahead. But then you better get someone out into those woods to move my equipment. You really want the police snooping around a wrecked logging site for missing loggers? If someone as dumb as me found my way into your little hideout, my rant is having its intended effect. Barksdale's teeth clench, and my rant is having its intended effect. Barksdale's teeth. My rant is having its intended effect. Barksdale's teeth clench and rage fills his eyes. You're a fool! You don't have the slightest idea how difficult the work we do here is, how advanced and world-changing. Keep him talking. You scientists think you're so smart, but you have no common sense. All the knowledge in the world is useless if you have no moral compass. Barksdale is starting to lose control. His breathing intensifies. If you think for one moment that you could do... As quickly as I can, I raise my gun and fire. I don't even take aim, I just fire in Barksdale's general direction. Barksdale takes off running as my shot misses wide. Oh, come on. He runs for cover at the back of the room. That's all we need. Amy also fires a shot to keep him under cover as we head for the door. Amy pushes a button and the door swings open. Barksdale will be on us in a second, so we dash out into the hangar, ready to defend ourselves. You're trying to tell me that neither of them, whilst he was distracting him, whilst I was distracting Amy, if she had a gun as well, should have just shot him. I know it sounds bad, but just take the guy out. All three of us run as fast as we can through the rows of barrels. Right away though, Barksdale's gunfire separates us. I hear a shot hit nearby as I dive down and realise that neither Dennis nor Amy is with me. I hear Amy cry out from elsewhere in the barrels. Peering around the barrel closest to me, I can see Dennis. He's crawling slowly on the floor 2 rows away from me. Seeing him move so slowly, I can't imagine how he's finding the strength to do even that. Stop this nonsense! I've got a good mind to shoot the fuel and kill all of you. It's then that I realise that not getting away from these barrels may be our death. Sentence. Oh. Tell them to get away. Before I can do anything, a shot comes from the isolation chamber. It's immediately followed by a ping sound and a massive wall of heat. I feel the heat I feel the heat before I feel the force of the explosion. It occurs several rows ahead of me, and I can still feel the physical push of it. I hear Dennis scream, and then the clanging of metal. That's when another barrel explodes, and then another. I realise that I could run back and help, or try to get myself clear. I might not have enough time to do either before the next round of eruptions. What the hell should I do? Run back to help Dennis and Amy. Oh my god, it's an important decision. You decided to run into the flames to help. My instinct to help overcomes my instinct to survive. If I don't help them now, the exploding barrels will leave Dennis and Amy as good as dead. I turn and start heading their way, but I'm not quick enough. Oh god. Another barrel blows up between us and throws me back across the hangar floor. My face and arms scream with the unimaginable pain of deep burns as I am lifted from the ground and tossed forward by the explosion. I slowly muscle myself up off the ground and try to regain my footing. My entire body feels sore, begging me to just stop. When I look back for Dennis and Amy, the scene is not promising. Neither of them seems to be able to move on their own. Dennis is lying flat on his face, unmoving. Amy is about 20 feet away from him. She's wailing in pain and clutching her leg. Behind them I can see Barksdale looking for a shot through the fire and evaporated liquid nitrogen. I fire off a single shot just to get him to duck back down. I look back out to Dennis and Amy and see the fire nearing the fuel barrels. I can maybe keep Barksdale pinned down long enough to pick them up one by one and help them walk to the elevators, but more barrels could blow any moment. I knew that was coming. I might only have time to save one of them. Okay, here's what... Okay, here we go. Right, I shot Dennis's hand off. Now he might actually die. Anyway. So he could die anyway. So maybe... It's clearly, if we help one, the other one's going to die. That's what's going to happen. I feel bad, and I feel obligated to help Dennis because I already shot off his arm. With that same notion, he might die anyway because he's bleeding out. Or we help Amy, and in all honesty, Amy's got far more knowledge about what the hell's going on. At least I want to help Dennis. I want to help Dennis. I chose to help Dennis first. I take a deep breath and sprint back out into the open. Among it, right away I start taking blind shots at Barksdale. He fires back only once and the shot goes off into the growing flames around me. I take one more shot and then reach down for Dennis. He's basically dead weight at this point. He's almost too heavy for me, but I manage to get him to his feet. He's almost too heavy for me, and my wounded shoulder screams in pain as I get him to his feet. I drag him back, narrowly avoiding the fire and death. I try shooting at Barksdale, but trying to aim the gun while carrying Dennis proves to be too much. Barksdale gets a single shot off as we round the corner to where the elevator waits. I set Dennis down and he is still unresponsive. Wrong decision. Drenched in sweat, I wheel around and head back out to get Amy. I only make it to a single step before I see her. I open my mouth to call to her, but an explosion right beside her cuts me off. She is shoved hard to the left from the force of the explosion. I run to help, but Barksdale was firing again at me. I give Amy one last regretful look and then rush back to the elevator and Dennis. My nerves are drenched in fear and adrenaline. When I reach out to press the call button on the elevator, it feels like I'm watching someone else do it. As Dennis and I step inside, the motors on the elevator squeal like dying dogs. It's an old service elevator made of wood and metal, like something from a coal mine. As the elevator slides down, the light from the flames gives way to complete blackness. And now it's just me and Dennis once again. I knew it was gonna be like that. I knew it was going to be whoever you chose, the other one was going to die. And I really feel bad about it. I've saved Amy once before, and I feel like I've just been leaving Dennis, which isn't right. I lose track of how long the elevator descends. It's hard to tell due to the lack of lighting, but it must go another 500 feet underground. The elevator comes to a stop with a shuddering clang, and I waste no time exiting. A tunnel stretches out with sparse white bulbs lighting the way. Most of the wall is made of raw earth and rock. Most of the wall is made of raw earth and rock, but there are boards and concrete slathered in areas used to reinforce the tunnel. I see a warning sign posted on the wall. I want to read it, but there's not much time. Read the notice. Warning, authorised personnel only beyond this point. Trespassers will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Absolutely no exceptions. Well, glad we got that one out of the way. Okay, so that was pointless. After only a few steps, the pain in my body intensifies. How stupid was I to turn down those painkillers? I look up, and when I see that the tunnel's ceiling is less than 6 inches over my head, claustrophobia freezes me for a moment. The ceiling is not high enough, and there is barely enough room for Dennis and me to walk side by side. His eyes are half closed, and he looks on the verge of passing out again. It's okay. We're almost done. A little further, okay? He shakes his head and says, I'm sorry, Roger. I don't think I can go any... I knew it was a waste to keep you. I regret it massively now. I lower him to the floor as easy as I can and let him rest. I'll be back. The switch should be down here somewhere. I give Dennis one last look and then start down into the tunnel ahead of me. I knew I should have taken Amy, for crying out loud. I look up, and when I see that the tunnel's ceiling is less than 6 inches over my head, claustrophobia freezes me for a moment. Still, it is much better than facing the monsters above me. I wonder then, walking through the darkness, where they came from. Is the portal still open? I keep walking into the darkness, and within 5 minutes the glow of red light from the elevator is diminished. It's almost completely dark. I hold the gun in one hand and reach out to touch the wall with my other. Feeling the gun in my palm anchors me to reality, to sanity. I'm not in some boundless abyss, but still in the real world, for a little while longer at least. I recognise that I am marching to my end. As much as I wish I weren't, it's not surprising. From the moment I saw what those creatures could do, time and space. From the moment I saw what those creatures could do to time and space, at least a part of me knew that death was inevitable. Before I have time to wonder what will happen, I see a light ahead. It's nothing more than a speck of blue light, but in the darkness of the tunnel, it's like a lighthouse on a stormy sea. I slog forward, my eyes straining to focus on that little light ahead. From somewhere ahead I start to hear something that sounds like water. It is trickling lightly like a leaky faucet, and behind that there is something that sounds like wind, a light breeze through an open field, and a voice. Anything else, the sounds would have been pleasant, but here in the blackness of the tunnel, they're menacing. I'm going to say hello. My voice doesn't echo like it should in this small space. This weirds me out even more than the lack of response. I cock my head trying to concentrate, and then realise that I can see the tunnel walls now. This is odd, as I wasn't able to see them a few seconds ago. This is different from the blue light at the end of the tunnel. It's then that I see the slight shimmering in the air. It looks like a foggy mirror steamed over after a shower, and it's moving, dancing in the air like some abstract firefly. It's not menacing like the creatures, so that threat is null. It's peaceful, serene. I watch as this shimmer branches out and becomes 2, then 3, then 4. They snake out in different directions, tracing the tunnel walls. Are these shimmers the doors to another dimension that Strickland was talking about? Suddenly I'm surrounded by light above and below me, and then realise there's no avoiding it. The question is, how am I going to go through it? You're going in head first. I stick my head through and feel a tingling sensation, almost pleasant. I reach out slowly, my hand stretching out to one of those shimmers of what I can only assume is some kind of light. They're hypnotising, so much so that I don't realise that the tunnel walls are vanishing. I feel something like wind and a brief electrical pulse pass through me as the lights take me. There is then a gentle pushing sensation, and I somehow know that I am being expelled. I have passed through something. Maybe the lights, maybe the tunnel walls, I don't know. But the shimmering lights fade a bit, still dancing in the air, but no longer large and branching out. And as my eyes adjust, I see right away that I am no longer standing in that dark tunnel far beneath the hangar. I have no idea where I am. I'm just somewhere else. And I am terrified. Whew! We're in the void. Whoa! This is where we are. Is this the void, or is this just another plane of existence? The ground I land on looks like hot coals. There are dips and many cliffs breaking the landscape ahead of me. There's a wash of orange and blue overhead in a sky that makes no sense. It is both beautiful and terrifying at once. A scattering of stars hang overhead, and they all seem to be breathing, pulsing with a gentle energy, as if alive. I can't tell if there are clouds in the sky, because everything about it, from the colours to the trembling horizon line, seems to be amorphous. Everything is knitted together, living. I stare a moment longer and swear I can feel the sky breathing. Far off to my right I see what looks to be a plume of fire, small yet bright, with no source of fuel. Looks as if the ground itself is creating the flame. Several more of these flames dot the landscape further out. The air is thick and muggy. Then I realise something horrible. I don't know if what I'm breathing here resembles air at all. In a place like this, one of impossible beauty, but also very stark horror, my mind doesn't know what to do. A wave of nausea comes over me, and I think I might be sick. I'm not sure if it would be better to fight it, or to give in. The white light that brought me here is nowhere to be found. Is anyone else even here? Is there any way to escape? Yell out for help. I take a deep breath of whatever otherworldly gas is filling this place and belt out as loud as I can. Hello? Hello? Anyone? I hear a voice in response. It is faint, distant. I turn and hear it coming out of one of the massive crevices along the ground. Inside of that crack, about 10 feet down, a very pale man lies on a ledge. He's human, but looks close to death. He is in the centre of a large pool of blood, and his left leg has been twisted and torn in an unnatural way. As I walk to the ledge, he looks up and sees me. Help me, please. His eyes are wide, although everything about him speaks of weakness. He is close to death or insanity, or both. What is this place? I don't know, but we are outside of our home galaxy, possibly even our home universe. Please help. I want to know more, but it seems cruel to steal what looks like his last breaths just to answer my questions. I'd love to, but I don't know where the hell I am or how to get back home. The light. It's a doorway. It might take you back to the facility. Where did it go? They come and go. They'll be back. Now please help me. I desperately want to help, but there's no way I can reach him. His ledge is too far away, above the pools of fire. I don't think I can get to you. No, that's not what I mean. His eyes are on the handgun that I almost forget I am still holding. Whoa, he wants me to kill him. I realise what he wants and I shake my head. I can't do that. Please, those things, they have the others that came here with me. I got dropped along the way. They'll be back and they'll kill me. He says, indicating to the gun. It'll be quicker, less painful. I can't. Please, look at my damn leg, I'm dead anyway. I'm about to refuse him again when I hear an all too familiar static sound from another crevice behind him. I hear another of those shrill noises and then watch as one of those monsters materialises up out of the neighbouring crevice. 2 more come out after it, then a third, then 5, then 10. Soon I lose count as what was just a few turns into a flood, and I suddenly understand the man's reasoning. A bullet would be mercy. I check the gun and see that I only have 1 round left. I can use it on this guy, but I may need it for myself later. From beside me the man pleads again. My God, a wave of lunacy in his voice. I don't think we can do it. I feel like we'll need that bullet. I'm so sorry, I can't. What I don't tell him is that I'm in a situation where I have to keep this 1 bullet. I can't waste it on him. He whimpers a bit and then I look away, unable to see the misery on his face. Behind me I hear him give a mix between a scream mixed with the high-pitched noises of the army of creatures. Their volume rises as he lets out cry after cry. I clench my teeth as the torture continues, then suddenly his voice is silenced and only the sick static sound remains. And that's when I see the shimmers wavering to my right, in the direction I originally came from. I look back to the monsters and see that they have now noticed me. Some of them begin floating up the walls of the crevice. There are less than 10 feet separating us. The shimmers of white light are within arm's reach, its movements reminding me of a fish in an aquarium. I reach out and feel myself accepted by them again. I feel the sensation of wind and wait for the feeling of being pushed out, back to the tunnel in the facility. But it doesn't come this time. This time I feel something else. I feel a tugging sensation that seems to want to drag me in all directions at once. As the world goes dark, I realise that I'm somewhere else, and it is not the darkness of the tunnel. This is the darkness of a total void. Yeah. What? There is darkness around me, everywhere, nothingness. I feel nothing under my feet, nothing to my sides. I can't touch or sense anything at all. I don't even know which way is up or down. It's as though I am all that exists, and as I remain there, I just hear silence, not even the sound of my heartbeat. The blackness is so deep that I feel I can't distinguish between my thoughts and what is real. I hear screaming, but I can't tell if it's someone else or my mind screaming to fill this void. Cry out. This is weird. I hear my own shout in my head, but it doesn't seem to travel out into the abyss. It bounces in my head endlessly like an echo down a long ancient corridor. I assume this is the place that Strickland referred to, the place between dimensions. This darkness could consume me if I wanted it to. I will try to will myself out of it, to try to have those shimmering lights spit me out, but it isn't happening. At this point my mind starts to hallucinate, or at least I think it does. Are they visions? Am I playing tricks on me? I can't tell. All I can do is watch. I see the login site. There's an image of Tony's lifeless body after I pulled it from under the dozer. I see myself talking to Dennis as he looks distraught as I tell him that Tony is gone. Then the scene rearranges itself, and I'm standing between Dennis and Marcus's gun. It changes again, and the shape of Marcus's body appears in front of me, half devoured, a bullet through his head. In my mind, I'm sobbing as I shoot off Dennis's hand, trying to convince myself it was the only way to save him, but he'll never forgive me. I try to let out a scream as Dennis and I watch Amy get blown apart by the barrel's explosion, but there's still no sound. And just when I feel like I can't take any more of this, I see the man in that strange world begging for death. I watch as he's distorted and torn by those beasts. All of these things are flooding my mind, and it feels like my brain is vomiting. Yet in the midst of all of it, I see what's really important. The switch. In my mind's eye, I see that glowing light in the tunnel, the one far ahead, small and distant. Try to focus on it. I focus my mind on the tunnel and the image of that flickering light. With a mental effort so strong that it's nearly a physical motion, I make myself envision that little light in the tunnel, as if it were right there in front of me. With that, I feel the wind again, a light breeze that seems to come from everywhere. And then with a relief that I can only imagine feels like death, I move forward. Are we back in the void? No, that's the void. We made it! We came back! No way! No way! I'm ejected from the void and I'm suddenly standing in the tunnel again. I let out a wail of triumph that turns into a bout of weeping. The weeping only intensifies when I see that light up ahead. A flickering blue light. Somewhere behind me I hear a crackling noise. I can only hope they haven't reached Dennis, but it's too late to even worry about that. After coming this far, I'm not about to turn back. I feel like I can listen to get a better read on where they are, or I could just make a break for it. Listen to where they are. Let's make sure we do this. I try my best to listen, attempting to figure out how far away they are, but the sound carries strangely down here. Right now, that static sound makes it seem like they're about 30 yards away. Knowing my time is running out, I run as fast as my aching and confused body will allow, headed straight for the blue light. As I run, I see a different light, a white one, flickering in my peripheral vision. It's another one of those shimmers that go to the other worlds. It seems they are appearing and disappearing with more frequency now. Strickland was right, these things could reach the surface soon, unleashing more monsters. This thought makes me refocus on the blue light, this man-made light, the switch. The blue light gets closer, and as it does, I can make out a square shaped around it. This has to be it. The familiar static scream of the monsters is much closer now. I have to be quick. I grip the gun tightly, knowing I only have one bullet remaining, the bullet that the man in the other world had wanted me to use to end his life. I run ahead into the darkness, my eyes locked on the switch that I assume is going to kill not only those creatures, but myself as well. As I approach, I see the lever. It's covered by a glass box that I will need to break. The blue light is directly beneath this, highlighting a series of tubes and wires that snake into the inner workings of the device. In the middle is blackness. Not like a darkly coloured part of the machine, but just a hole in reality. It looks like some sort of illusion. All the while I can hear the static of the creatures coming up dangerously close now. I have no idea how much time I have. If I smash the glass, it might be... we're running out of time. Smash the glass. I draw back the stock of the gun and smash through the glass that houses the lever. The glass shattering is like music to my ears. I reach out for the lever with my hand, grasping it. Without warning, I feel immense pain coursing through my body. It feels like fire racing down my back, causing me to fall to one. I should have turned around. There's only one of them that I can see. It blasts horrible static noise at me as I ready my gun. One bullet left. I'm very glad I didn't put that poor man in that other place out of his misery. I take aim and fire, my accuracy rewarded with a spew of white gas from the creature's core. It backs away. In defence or annoyance, I'm not sure. I start to turn back to the switch when I hear a second creature coming, gliding behind me. Its tentacles melt into me, and I scream. I can't help it. I sound like a wild animal. I can try to keep fending them off, or I can go for broke and just focus on the lever. Creatures be damned. Kick at them. Using nothing but impulse and the animal desire to win the fight, I kick the closest creature to me. The kick connects squarely, but it's like kicking through water. I don't get so much as a spasm of pain from the thing. No sense of pushing my luck. I admit defeat and turn away, ready to try for the switch as I feel more tentacles of light sapping at me. I put all my strength into my legs. The moment the monster in front of me draws back its eel-like arms to grab me, I pivot backwards. My back strikes the machine, sending agony rocking through my body. I'm so thankful I broke the glass before this moment. Before the coming violence. I stretched out and grabbed the lever with one last desperate scream that shreds my voice. I jam it down. The tunnel is suddenly filled with a flash of intense darkness. It expands from the switch, swallowing the matter around me. At first I'm sure this is the end of me. I expect the darkness to consume me, followed by death. But another shimmer of dancing white light appears next to me. There are more of those streams of light, rips in space like the ones that previously sent me to that other ungodly world and the void. With nothing else to do but die, I try to escape into the shimmer. When that stream of light envelops me, the expanding darkness of the switch is gone, and I feel a huge push. So we're going into another reality. What the hell? What is this? My body feels stretched, collapsing, like I'm falling in all directions at once. The world goes white, and then there are pinpoints of stars everywhere. One of them breezes directly by my right, and I see something that looks like a spiral galaxy distorted in its folds. To my right I see an endless stretch of stars and gas clouds, forming some galactic architecture. But beyond the immeasurable beauty, I notice something. I'm seeing the same star patterns over and over. They're repeating like reflections in an endless mirror. Are these different versions of the same galaxies, the same realities? To my left I see a calm blue world and can barely make out trees, familiar Kentucky trees that I've been around for the last few weeks. To my right I see a copy, an orange world, and there are trees there as well, but something strange, disturbing. As I zoom by, I'm not sure how much control I have in this unusual place, but if I can direct myself, it's worth trying. Oh look, two different worlds, and the orange one it said looked disturbing, and it said this one looked. Is this like we're going to heaven or hell or something? Like this is one reminds us of home. I feel like this is like a heaven and hell sort of thing. I want to go to the blue world. I tried to focus my mind on heading towards the blue world, not knowing what to expect. My breath escapes me for a moment. Everything is dark and peaceful, and nothing hurts. Is that good or bad? What? We back? With breath back inside my body, I gasp and open my eyes. I'm back at the login site. How? I'm not sure. Did the shimmers react with the implosion of the switch? Some other accident? I have no idea. I sit up right away and become instantly dizzy. Dennis. There's no reason to think that he survived whatever happened in that tunnel, but there's some sort of certainty that gets me to my feet. I wonder if I'm somehow back in time before we found the facility, but what happens next makes me realise that can't be true. As I start walking forward, I feel a tremor in the ground somewhere off the distance. I hear a metallic groan. The buried facility, it's being ripped apart under the ground by the activation of the switch. There's no way Barksdale survived that. Good riddance. I stumble a bit, and when I do, I see the body on the floor, on the forest floor. Dennis. How is he here? Did he get caught up in those shimmers as well? I decide I don't care and scramble over to him. Dennis, can you hear me? Yeah. Slightest twitch behind his eyes, and for the moment that's good enough for me. To my left, through a tangle of partially destroyed trees and woodland, a pillar of smoke begins to rise into the air. We've made it out of the facility alive, and that, I suppose, is the most important thing. It's then that I look up and notice the sky. What? What? Looks normal. The sky is beautiful and familiar, unobstructed by the trees that have been standing several minutes ago. I take my trusty hard hat off my head and exhale, letting my body relax. It's finally over. I'm not sure how long it will take me to get back to some semblance of a life, but I will know one thing for sure. Any day above ground is going to be a good day. Is that it? So we actually sort of full on... We survived! I no friggin' way. I did not ever in my life think that we were ever going to survive that. I thought we were going to die at the end. I mean, I know that there's multiple endings and stuff. I am so happy we managed to survive. And we got Dennis out. Man, that was good. Let's have a look. 64% of players didn't take the painkillers. That's interesting. Well over half. You and 33% of players chose to save Dennis instead of Amy. You and 70% of players did not kill the man, because you're being smart. You and 83% of players headed towards the blue world and went home. I knew it. So the blue world was like the good, was going home and stuff. So what was the orange world? I wonder if that was going back to the void, because I wouldn't have been surprised if that was going back to the void. But there we are. That's buried. And I've got to say, I am very happy with how that ending went. I am so happy with how that went. Though there were definitely a few errors I made, like not taking the painkillers, that was a mistake. Shooting Dennis's hand, that was a mistake. In the end, choosing Dennis, I thought Dennis was going to die, but he survived. I think that was the right call. Not giving that guy in the void my bullet, because that helped me fend them off. And we somehow, through going through one of them shimmers, ended up back outside. I don't know how it happened, but that was great. I immeasurably enjoyed this game, and play it for yourself if you haven't seen all the different endings, and try and get a different ending. It's such a good game. Like it's just text-based choices. I think it's great, to be honest. This is something that I think is very cool. You know, the whole thing with Black Mirror's Bandersnatch that came out, the choice-based thing over on Netflix. I think that's going to spawn a lot more choice-based stuff like that on telly and in games as well. So I look forward to seeing more stuff like this. I think is really cool, and yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this series as well. If you did, leave a like down below. If you are new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and check out some of the other videos I've got going on. My throat is absolutely gone, so I'm going to say have a fantastic day, guys, and I will see you in the next video. Why did I don't know, I just forgot my words there.